she's if you take the interesting thing about ultra marathons is like we're small enough sport where it's like you can't really say like, oh, I'm a 100-miler. It's like, okay,
everybody would know.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's like, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So like you have everything from a 50-kilometer that's got over 10,000 feet of climbing and descending to a 6-day event on a track, and they're all the same sport.
Yeah.
When you look at like people who can kind of do really well at all of them, or in Courtney's case, really well at all of them, you can't find a better female on the female side of things, someone who can do it better than that. Like she does it. She goes on the track, kills it. She goes in 240 miles through the mountains, kills it. It's crazy.
Yeah, she's something really, really unusual. Mm-hmm. You know, a buddy, my friend Brian was texting me about her while she was getting. Brian is he doesn't even run, I don't think, or barely. I mean, he's not a. But he was just so fascinated by this one woman that was so far ahead of everybody. It's like, what the fuck is she doing, man?
Yeah.
She beat the second place guy by 10 hours in a 238-mile race. 22 miles she was ahead of him.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic too, where men and women in ultra marathoning and how that kind of like where
it's one of the rare races where women can win.
Yeah, and it's the interesting thing to me about it is women can and do win some races, but when they're like Courtney's very much the most, I would say, talented person to do one of the 200-milers yet. Like there hasn't been a lot of what like the top of the sport hasn't really moved into that. I mean, Courtney certainly is top of the sport, but
Do you think she's the best?
I think she's the best woman all around.
Right.
Certainly in the United States.
Do you think she's the best at running those 200-milers?
No.
Or is it dependent upon altitude gain and loss and
probably and just variables to the day. I think like so. I mean, there's some like there's a guy named Killian Jornet, and he.
How do you spell his last name?
Jornet, and he won the or he's essentially the best mountain runner by far. Like there's maybe one other guy who could maybe compete with him at something under 100 miles, but if it's like he would probably like beat everyone by who knows how much in a 200.
We've seen one of these videos before.
Yeah, he'll run on these like ridge lines and like it'll be like death on both sides, and he just
play that shit. These fucking guys, man.
So.
Oh, I have seen this.
This isn't even nearly as thin as some of them get.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Look at him. He looks like a freak too. With a GoPro strapped to his head. That's got to throw your balance off. He's running with a GoPro. Put that down. Pay attention. If that was my son, I'd be like, pay attention where you're running, kid. Man. Jesus.
Yeah, he's interesting because I mean, his parents were like mountaineers, I think, and like so he was like basically playing in the mountains at like age 3 and basically grew up doing this stuff. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so he's the type of guy who like he's probably the best in the sport right now, and it's.
Oh my God, he's jumping around. He's an asshole. He's an asshole. He is running, folks. What is this video?
It's on his Instagram. I don't really know.
Okay, and spell his name K-I. Is that 2 L's?
1 L.
1 L-I-A-N-J-O-R-N-E-T, and he's running in Chamonix. How do you say that?
France.
Chamonix, France. And he's running on what looks like the fin of a shark if a shark was the size of a mountain. This guy's a fucking animal, man. That is so scary. Oh,
the interesting.
I get sweaty. My hands are sweating. I freak out.
Get scared just watching it.
And so he's the best?
Yeah, on the mountains for sure. He doesn't do anything that's not mountainous. Like he did Western States and won it in 2011. And he was complaining about it being too flat.
Oh, Jesus Christ. What is the gain and loss of elevation in Western States?
That one's net downhill, so it's 2,300 or 23,000 feet down, 17,000 feet up.
What?
So
he's complaining about that?
Yeah, it's too flat.
17,000 feet up?
And it gets much crazier than that. You can do like 50 milers or 100Ks that have the same profile as that. So you can get like if you're doing like what he's doing, that probably does feel kind of flat for him. Like he likes that steep technical stuff. So. But yeah, so as far as the mountains go, he's the guy to beat for sure. And he'll do races on a regular basis when he is running because he's actually a professional skier too. So like he's only running basically half the year and he's skiing the other half.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So he's a fun dude to follow for sure. But yeah, it's when you look at like some of the races that are kind of the big races, like Western States 100 is the most competitive 100-miler in the United States, and Ultra Trail Mont Blanc, which is actually by Chamonix where you saw that video, is probably at least last year was the most competitive in the world. Those are the races I like to look at to kind of see like where the divergence is from the males and the females. And if you look at like course records and winning times, like, the men are finishing like 2+ hours ahead of the women on a pretty regular basis on that type of stuff. And at Ultra Trail Mount Blanc, sometimes it's 4 or 5 hours. And then so then you can kind of like, it actually kind of is more in line with what you see with other endurance distances like marathons and stuff like that. The crazy thing about it though is that doesn't mean that's going to happen every time. Like there's certainly years where women do really well and finish like in the top 10 in like Western States or UTMB.